Come join me in revolution. Come join me in the fight. Come join me in revolution against the dying of the light.
All right, well, I'll stop talking now and open it up for any questions everybody has. Yes, sir.
My name's AJ Spiker with Campaign for Liberty, and I'm curious, if you're elected governor, would you be willing to reassert the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution, reaffirming Iowa's sovereignty?
Well, yes, I would say so, that the federal government has gone beyond its bounds. What he's talking about is the 10th Amendment says that the powers not explicitly given to the federal government in the Constitution are reserved to the people or the states. And yes, I'm always for enumerated government, limited government, that the Constitution should only have those specific powers that it states. But that's true of the Iowa Constitution too. Now, I've met a lot of folks who maybe are constitutionalists who are okay with the state government imposing restrictions on people's freedom as long as it's not the federal government. But we are not like that. We don't like either of the governments imposing it on people. I would say most of the rights should be invested in the people, not the states. Other question? Yeah.
What role do you tend to believe that the state of Iowa government should be playing in Iowa's part in global climate change and that issue? What do you believe the government's role ought to be in that sense?
Yeah, that's probably best handled at the federal level rather than the Iowa level. There shouldn't be laws shackling Iowa, say, that don't shackle the rest of the states, that's sure. Now, global warming is a lot like pollution, and you'll notice under the property crimes section, when I said that was a legitimate function of government, I included pollution as one of them, and that's right. The air is a public good, and so we have to have some sort of restrictions on it, and the government is probably the best way of doing that. But I think we can do it in the most cost-efficient manner possible. And the most cost-efficient manner possible, both for pollution of any sort, whether it causes global warming or not, is essentially to sell permissions to pollute on the free market. What it is essentially we decide what level of pollution is tolerable, and then we say, okay, you can buy permits to pollute this amount. We sell enough permits to get to the pollution to that level. And what that does is the people who would be very expensive for them to clean up their act, well, they can buy the permits. And the people who would be cheap for them to clean up, well, they won't buy permits. They'll sell them to the people for who it would be expensive, and they'll clean up themselves. That allows us to get to the level of pollution that we find acceptable with the most cost-effective manner possible. So I'm always for using market forces to solve this. But I would agree that pollution is a legitimate function of the government preventing pollution. Other question? Yes?
Why marijuana legalization is one of the three planks of your campaign? Is there something about that issue that resonates with you?
Well, again, I'll put on my three-corner hat here. The Founding Fathers would have been appalled that we have laws telling free people what they can put in their own bodies. It's primarily philosophical. The government doesn't have that power. That should be up to the individual citizen. Now, of course, they should restrict it for children. That's within the government's legitimate purview. But for adults, there's no reason the government should have the power to do that. We're spending a whole lot of money just to prevent people from doing something that they enjoy. It's simply beyond the government's enumerated powers to do.
So by that law, you would be against any regulations of any substances, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on the current healthcare crisis?
Well, my opinion is that it's certainly not the governor of Iowa's responsibility to deal with that. I would agree there should be some reforms, but again, I would think they're market reforms. What they're doing right now in Washington is moving far too fast, and we don't know what the consequences of the radical change they're proposing is. Two common sense measures we could do to help improve things, I think, are first, and most importantly, allow health insurers to compete across state lines, because health insurers have a strong incentive to try and keep costs down. If they compete across state lines, then you could always get the cheapest health insurance, and the health insurers would be big enough that they could force costs down. So I think that would be the one reform I would try first. And then some sort of tort reform, a limit to the damages that could be collected in malpractice suits, I think would take costs down too. So I think before we do crazy stuff like getting the government controlling that part of the economy, let's proceed more slowly and try and do some market-based reforms to see if that can solve the problem. Anything else? Yeah.
Do you think the major party response, especially from the Democrats but also from the Republicans, is going to be influenced in certain specific ways by the election of Barack Obama as the president, or do you believe the relationship to your campaign is going to be similar to previous libertarian campaigns?
Well, okay. So will the Republicans and Democrats be influenced by what Obama is doing? Is that what you're saying?
Do you think his election has changed the way that the major parties will relate to your third-party candidacy, or do you believe it will be similar to under the Bush era or the Clinton era?
Yeah, I don't see that it will per se. I think right now the Democrats are in kind of on the outs with a lot of people just because of the great expansion of government. And I think that's good for us. Somebody who's really upset about the expanded government is exactly the kind of person who I think our campaign will attract. So yeah, I think there's a lot of anti-government sentiment right now, and I hope that we can capitalize on that. Anything else today? All right, well, we greatly appreciate all of you coming. We got a lot of snacks back there that nobody touched, so snag some on your way out. And of course, you should go to the website, which is www.smallergovernment.com. We have a lot of our policy positions listed there, bio information on me and Nick, and you're welcome to quote from any of that anytime. If you got any questions, our contact information is on the website, and you're free to call us or send us an email. And hope to see you out on the campaign trail.